Okay, what if I told you there's a mental math trick that is so simple, you're gonna master it in like the next 2 minutes, but it's so powerful, you'll wonder how you ever got by without it. Let's dive in and unlock this thing.
I mean, really think about that for a second. No more pulling out your phone, no scrambling for a piece of paper. You just see a number and bam, you instantly know what double that is. It sounds like a superpower, right? Well, it's not. It's a skill, and it's surprisingly easy to learn.
And the secret? It's not some random trick from the internet. It comes from a really powerful system for mental math that was developed decades ago. It's called the Trachtenberg system, and its whole philosophy is about making math faster, easier, and way more accurate for everyone.
So, we're going to focus on what is probably the absolute easiest rule in the entire system: how to multiply by 2. Seriously, this is your gateway into the world of high-speed mental math. Now, the rule itself sounds almost too simple. The first part is obvious: double each digit. Got it. But the second part, that's the secret sauce, without using any neighbor. Trust me, that little phrase is the key to everything. Just hang on to that thought. All right, let's put it to the test. We'll use the number 324. The only thing you have to remember here is that the Trachtenberg system wants us to work from right to left.
And this is just beautiful in its simplicity. We start with a 4 on the far right. Double it, that's 8. Then we move left to the 2. Double it, that's 4. And finally, the 3. Double that, you get 6. You just read the numbers back. 648. That's it. No carrying, no complicated steps, just pure, simple doubling.
So, you've pretty much just mastered the trick. Super easy, right? But here's the big twist. The reason this rule is so incredibly easy is because it's a total exception. It actually breaks the main principle that holds the rest of the Trachtenberg system together.
And this brings us right back to that weird little phrase from before, without using any neighbor. So what in the world is a neighbor, and why is it such a big deal that this rule just ignores it? The answer is where you see the real genius of the system. The neighbor is just a simple name for the digit that's immediately to the right of the one you're working on. For almost all the other Trachtenberg rules, multiplying by 3, 4, 6, 7, you name it, you have to do something to your main digit and then factor in its neighbor.
And you can really see the difference here. On the left, you've got our rule for 2. It's clean, simple, every digit is its own little island. But on the right, well, that's what most of the other rules look like. They're all tangled up with their neighbors, which means more steps and more stuff to keep track of in your head.
Just to give you a taste, the rule for multiplying by 6 says you have to add half of its right-hand neighbor into your calculation. Now, it's still way faster than regular multiplication once you learn it, but it's a whole different world from the simple doubling we just did. The rule of 2 is special because it was designed to be this simple.
So that begs a pretty big question, right? Why would you build a whole system based on these complex neighbor rules and then just toss in one rule that proudly ignores all of that? Understanding the why here, that's when you really get how brilliant this whole system is.
You see, the whole Trachtenberg system was built to do a few things really, really well. It had to be fast and simple, of course, but it was also made so you never have to memorize your multiplication tables again. And this is huge. It helps you avoid those tiny errors we all make when we have to carry numbers. And our rule of 2, it's the purest, most perfect example of that entire philosophy in action.
So, as we start to wrap this up, it's so important to see this as way more than just a cool party trick. There's a really deep and powerful logic behind why it's so simple.
Yeah, this isn't some kind of magic. The source material is very clear that every single one of these rules, including our beautifully simple one, is totally 100% algebraically valid. They are real, mathematically sound shortcuts, not just some weird approximation. It's just a different and often much smarter way of looking at how numbers actually work.
So here's the real takeaway. The rule of 2 is special, not just because it's easy, but because its easiness was a conscious choice. It was deliberately designed to be simple inside a more complex system. It proves that even in something as rigid as math, there's room for elegance and for thinking about the user. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Learning about this rule makes you look at all the everyday math we do, and it makes you wonder, what other obvious ideas that we just take for granted are sitting there just waiting for someone to come along with a simpler, more elegant design?